Welcome back everyone to the 14.7 edition of the Best Solo Carries, where we will be providing you guys with 3 champions for every single role that are incredibly powerful for the current meta. And remember, if you're struggling to climb in League, SkillCapped is the only place that guarantees you'll climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. Otherwise, you can claim a full refund. We do this because our service really works, and this is the best time of the season to get in on SkillCapped, as we've just released tons of site-exclusive courses designed for you to power learn the most important concepts for climbing in League of Legends stupidly fast, compared to those who don't use SkillCapped. Join today for unlimited access to the world's most famously effective League of Legends guides, and remember, one subscription gives you access to all of our other games as well. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below to stop wasting time being hard stuck and get the rank you actually want. And with that said, let's get into it. Making her way into meta throughout 14.6 and breaking into the top 3 for the top lane in 14.7 is Rek'Sai. Tank Rek'Sai is incredibly powerful right now, mainly due to all of the sustain coming out of her passive. It was back in patch 14.4 where Riot significantly buffed Rek'Sai's passive. Rek'Sai's passive heal scales off max health, so you just stack tank items on the champion and become this unkillable void monster. The passive is being nerfed a bit in the early game for 14.7, but we don't think it will be enough to significantly lower the strength of top lane Rek'Sai. Matchup wise for Rek'Sai, the only champion that most players are struggling against is Mordekaiser. Mord does really well into tankier champs, as he can just outlast you in extended fights, so he's a good ban. The optimal build for top lane Rek'Sai consists of a Sunfire Aegis Rush into Stridebreaker or Spirit Visage 2nd and Sterix Gage 3rd. The best rune page is Grasp with Demolish, Second Wind, and Overgrowth, followed by Tenacity and Coup de Grace for secondaries. Back on the solo carry list for top lane for yet another patch is Urgot. The champ is just super easy to execute, has a really solid laning phase, very few bad matchups, and spikes hard with 2 items. The E start allows for Urgot to exert a lot of pressure right from level 1, as very few champions can beat him in a quick trade. This allows you to take full control of many matchups, hit level 2 before your opponent, and then look for an all-in play if they disrespect you. Olaf is one of the few matchups that can be more difficult to deal with as Urgot, so he's a good ban option. The standard core build for Urgot revolves around a Hullbreaker Rush into Black Cleaver 2nd and Sterix Gage 3rd. Fleet is currently heavily outperforming Press the Attack as Urgot's best keystone rune. Fleet works amazing on Urgot because he can stack the energized proc so quickly when his W is constantly running in a skirmish to get so much healing out of the rune, and the added burst of movement speed is also super nice. With the most played top lane champions in solo queue all being physical damage champs, it gives a lot of strength to Malphite right now. Malphite is one of those top lane champions that you can almost never go wrong with. We say almost because there are a few matchups you want to avoid, mainly being Mordekaiser and Sylas. If you can avoid playing into those 2 champions, then you've got a really high chance to heavily impact games very consistently. Even if you don't want to one-trick Malphite, just having him in your champion pool as a pick you can pull out in specific matchups will do you wonders. Malphite has insane stat lines against many physical damage champs, as he's been winning over 56% of the time against Jace, Jax, Riven, and Tryndamere. Any matchup win rate above 52% is generally pretty good, but the fact Malphite has so many 56% win rate matchups is just insane. The standard build that you should be running on Malphite is a Sunfire Aegis Rush into Thornmail 2nd and Canik Rookern or Frozen Heart 3rd. Rune page is Comet with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch, while Second Wind and Overgrowth are for secondaries. Just buff last patch, and now one of the best junglers that you can play for Diamond and below is Diana. Diana is one of those junglers that allows you to be very consistent in your approach. Full clearing is almost always the way to go, which limits variance. Once you've completed your full clear, the skirmish strength of Diana is now stronger due to her buffs from 14.6. Passive duration now lasts for 5 seconds instead of 3, so you're able to outlast and finish off targets a little easier. We actually have a brand new full game commentary of buffed Diana on our website from our challenger jungler BMX specs that can help you out if you're looking to pick her up. Matchup wise for Diana, Briar is one of the better ban options, as Briar's sustain and consistent dual strength is hard for Diana to match. Rush item on Diana is Nashor's Tooth, so it has some really nice synergy with the 14.6 buffs. Second item Lichbane slots in really well, and Zanya's is generally a great 3rd pickup. As for the rune page, is Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace, while Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight are the best secondaries. It honestly wasn't much of a surprise that Briar lost very minimal strength from her 14.6 nerfs, so she's back in the top 3 for 14.7. You could even argue that for more skilled Briar players that she's better now, as having the ability to ward hop with Q opens up some more reliable escape routes. champions. Bruiser Briar is the way to play her right now, as the Eclipse Rush is just way more powerful than anything else. You go into Sundered Sky second, and then Steric's Gauge is the third pickup. Briar needs to be up close and auto-attacking to be successful, so banning out a meta peel support like Janna is good value. The rune setup that more and more Briar players have gravitated towards in recent patches is Press the Attack. The rune is very easy for Briar to proc, as her Q counts as an on-hit effect, so you get great value out of PTA. It's also very important that you run Ingenious Hunter and runes so that the cooldown of the Eclipse Shield and Sundered Sky healing are reduced. Despite recent nerfs, still holding strong as one of the most reliable solo queue junglers is Brand. The clear is very easy to execute and super fast as well, so you're able to cycle your camps and hit level 6 extremely quickly. At level 6, the skirmish with Brand is incredibly strong, so you should be looking to fight for objectives and get into those 2v2s or 3v3s. With the percent health damage coming out of Brand's passive along with the Liandry's passive, you absolutely melt objectives. You should always be thinking about whether or not you can take an early Baron with Brand, because all you need is a tank to soak damage and you're golden. Brand does not like playing against dive champions who can one-shot him, so with Diana coming back into meta, she's a solid ban. The core build for Brand is a Liandry's Rush into Rylai's second, and then Zanya's or Crypt Bloom third. Grab Dark Harvest for the Keystone Rune with Cheap Shot, Zombie Ward, and Treasure Hunter. Best secondaries are Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight. It's honestly a shock that Ahri avoids nerfs for 14.7, so continue to take advantage while you can. In the past, Ahri has been a champion whose strength comes from her catch power with Charm, but right now, that's not really the case. Of course, landing Charm helps a ton, but with Ahri's meta build of Malignance into Lichbane, you have so much damage just from using WR and auto-attacking. Even if you're not the most mechanically gifted player, you can actually find pretty good success with Ahri right now due to less reliance on landing or skill shots to pump out damage. Heck, you don't even need mechanics to climb with most champions in general. As long as you have solid macro knowledge, it can take you a long way. And our brand new website exclusive course for mid lane covers all the essentials you need to rank up fast. Malignance into Lichbane and Rabadon's is the 3-item core that you really can't go wrong with right now. Ahri doesn't have too many bad matchups, but one champion who can be more annoying to play into is Kassadin, so he's a good ban. The rune page for Ahri revolves around Electrocute with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, and Ultimate Hunter. Triple Tonic and Minion Dematerializer are for secondaries. Next up for mid lane and our second solo carry of the patch is Kassadin. Very much like Ahri, Kassadin synergizes extremely well with the item Malignance, as it provides him with very powerful mid-game spike. Forget about level 16 Kassadin, level 11 Kassadin with 2 items is extremely deadly as well. What a lot of cast players have been doing in recent patches is completely bypassing Rod of Ages and just going Malignance Rush into Archangels and Rabadons. There's a ridiculous amount of burst coming out of this core, and it makes Kassadin's catch power from the Fog of War absolutely godlike. It's really just AD mids that are in more trouble for Kassadin, and with Tristana making a decent push back into meta right now, she's a good ban choice. The optimal rune page for Kassadin consists of First Strike with Free Boots, Futures Market, and Cosmic Insight. Run Sudden Impact and Ultimate Hunter for secondaries. These scaling mid lane champs are finding a lot of success right now in the current meta, and Aurelion Sol is another one. Sol is just a ticking time bomb due to the way his passive works. You got the infinitely stacking passive, so the longer games last, the more of a free win it becomes. This makes the champ especially strong for Platinum and below, where games tend to drag out longer as macro play is not as proficient. If you're someone who's stuck in Bronze or Silver and are looking to make that push into Gold, there's really nobody better than Aurelion Sol to help you get the job done. Sol doesn't like playing into champions with a lot of mobility, as it's much harder to land his E and R, so banning out Ahri is the no-brainer right now with how much she's being played. Core build for Aurelion Sol revolves around a Rylai's Rush into Liandry's second and Archangel's third. Roll with Comet for the Keystone Rune, followed by Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Gathering Storm. Magical Footwear and Minion Dematerializer are the best secondaries. Absolutely skyrocketing in priority over the past patch, and now that pick or ban ADC in 14.7 is Jinx. Prior to the ADC item buffs, Jinx was one of the better performing crit champs that you could play, so with the buffs going through, it's just pushed her over the top, and she's arguably the best solo queue ADC now. The static Shiv Rush coming into meta was also another factor that has been helping the cause, as it was winning much more than the alternative Kraken Slayer Rush in 14.6. Shiv is being nerfed to this patch though, so we may see Kraken priority rise back up, but regardless of the build, Jinx will remain a top tier ADC. Although Jinx can get super mobile in fights when she procs her passive, she can be more susceptible to that initial dive due to lacking a gap closer, so banning out a meta dive champ like Ahri or Zed is good value. Rune page that you should be running on Jinx is Lethal Tempo with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Cutdown, while Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm are for secondaries. An ADC who's been loving the recent crit item buffs and absolutely dominating the meta is Nilah. It's unlikely that Nilah ever becomes super popular for solo queue, however, that does not take away from the fact she's an extremely powerful carry. You actually put yourself at a huge advantage if you really take the time to learn Nilah, because the opponents you go up against are likely more inexperienced in the matchup, which means you'll be able to exploit certain openings much easier. Standard 3-item core for Nilah has her building the Collector into Quick Blades and Lord Dominix. Quick Blades and Lord Doms were both buffed in 14.6, which has led to around a 1% 10% spike to Neela's overall win rate. Neela hates playing against champions with strong peel power as it limits her dive potential, so banning out Janna or Lulu is a good idea. The best rune page for Neela consists of Conqueror with Triumph, Bloodline, and Last Stand, followed by Sudden Impact and Treasure Hunter for secondaries. Crit ADCs are without question the most dominant right now as a whole. However, one on-hit ADC who's an outlier and in a great spot is Kog'Maw. Kog has been riding high ever since his 14.5 buffs and has also been loving the fact that support meta has begun to shift. We are now seeing much less of Maokai and Senna and way more of Janna, Lulu, and Melio, which bodes really well for Kog. Pair Kog'Maw up with an Enchanter support and you put yourself in a great position to take over the mid to late game. Kog'Maw's mid-game spike with Blade of the Ruined King and Terminus is extremely powerful right now. A lot of players are still sleeping on Terminus as an earlier pickup on Kog ever since the item was buffed a few patches back. Definitely look to use your ban on a dive champion when picking Kog'Maw, as Ahri and Zed are both solid options with how much they are being played. For the optimal rune page, look to run Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Bloodline, and Last Stand. Conditioning and Overgrowth are the way to go for secondaries. With Maokai falling in priority as of recent, taking his place as one of the best melee supports for solo queue is Blitzcrank. Whenever Enchanter supports make their way back into meta, there's always a place for Blitzcrank. The instant catch power and shield breaking mechanic from Blitzcrank's R come together to provide him with incredible strength against squishy, immobile champs. Believe it or not, at the time of making this video, Blitz is the only support in the game right now who has a positive win rate in the Janna matchup. With Janna being played at a very high rate right now, it's all the more reason to have Blitz as a champion you can pull out. ADCs with higher mobility are good champs to ban if you intend on picking Blitz, so Ezreal or Lucian are good options right now, as they are the most played mobile ADCs in meta. Support item upgrade for Blitz is Celestial Opposition, while Trailblazer and Zeke's Convergence are the core items to follow. Keystone Rune is Glacial Augment, followed by Hex Flash, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Pick up Nimbus Cloak and Celerity for secondaries. Next up for our second solo carry support of the patch, we have Braum. Braum is a really great pick right now into many melee supports, as he's winning over 55% of the time against Maokai, Camille, and Nautilus. With Camille coming into meta as a support over the past few patches, Braum is one of the best champions you can pick to answer. The shield from Braum E and his ability to jump right onto his teammates with W gives him really nice peel power for when dive champions try to go in. Once you prevent that dive champ from killing your carry, you can then begin to turn the fight into your favor by stacking up Braum's passive for the stun and added burst damage. For some more crazy stats, Braum is absolutely feasting when paired with any of the top performing solo queue ADCs right now, as he's got over a 55% win rate with Jinx, Kog'Maw, and Twitch. Bloodsong and Realm Spike are being nerfed for 14.7, so it's going to bring even more indirect rise to Braum. If you're looking to pick up Braum, our challenger player Hector has a new commentary for the champ on our website, and we upload 10 new commentaries every single week. Solstice Slay is the best support item upgrade for Braum, while Locket and Knight's Vow are standard core items. You should be taking Guardian for the Keystone Rune with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching, while Biscuits and Cosmic Insight work great for secondaries. With strong champs from recent patches like Janna and Zyra becoming indirectly weaker for 14.7, making her way into the top 3 is Leona, especially with Janna being hit with multiple indirect nerfs. That's something Leona loves to see. Janna is one of the few matchups that is much more difficult for Leona, so it's always a good ban choice. Leona players were only winning 46% of the time against Janna in 14.6, which was by far her worst performing matchup analytically. Other than Janna though, Leona fares extremely well into most squishy Enchanter supports, as her CC lockdown and damage allows her to set up kills really easily. With Jinx in meta right now, it's always a huge win for Leona, as that duo has a mass amount of kill threat as early as level 2 and then especially at level 6. Jinx has a pick rate of 25% right now, so you're going to be seeing her at the very least once in every 4 games. For the build on Leona, it's Celestial Opposition for the support upgrade, while Locket and Zeke's Convergence are the items to follow. Aftershock is the optimal Keystone Rune with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching. Take Biscuits and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So that's going to wrap everything up for our 14.7 edition of the best solo carries. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you back soon.